What I have in front of me are two kit-bashed characters, both Paladins. This one's meant to be a battle standard bearer, as I believe I discussed the last time I recorded one of these. This model is a regular Knights of the Realm standard bearer, but I've made a futile effort to angle the standard a little bit more, and a simple but successful effort, as long as they don't break, to attach these ribbons to the shaft, hoping that, given that each has a unique color represented by my other Knights of the Realm, that this will read as more than just a regular standard bearer. And then this is also a Paladin right next to them. Just a Paladin, nothing fancy. It's the Duke model, but instead of being on a Pegasus, is on a horse. And today, there's some finishing steps I'm still working on. Steps I don't always do, but will be doing this time. It's difficult to see, at least, maybe because we're missing those edge highlights in some of the last few steps, but there's some shading being done. I think if you look around the shields on the comparisons down here, and of course if you look at the base of the surface of this shield here, you can see where there's some shading. And with some highlights, those will come out even more. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do here as I work to get these two characters done in time for the next campaign battle, in which I will be using these characters. The campaign has some unfortunate limits to it, such that characters can be mounted on horses, but you have to unlock the ability to put them up on, in my case, a Royal Pegasus. So, as a result, I needed horse-mounted versions of my simple characters. And that's what's brought us here. And when I say kit bashed, I mean that these are both actually Knights of the Realm models, for the most part, except for the Duke there, that have been converted into what's meant to be characters. That is the idea. Now I'm getting some of this deep red color here, because the standard bearer's trousers, see, I need to keep them under the light. I can't really move I can move the lamp a little closer. Let me try moving the lamp a little closer. Everything's moving. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. There we go. Let's see here. Let's try to layer on the colors, but leave some of the shading if I can. So when I say shading, what I mean is I went all over the model with an especially dark wash, and then that made everything look all darkened and stained. So I'm going back over the middle of many of these surfaces with the original color, so that I leave the dark shading where that was. This, unless I'm stinking wrong, is called layering. Something that I've been struggling to understand the process of. Like, I know what the process is in theory, but like when I'm looking at my models, it's like I don't see it anymore. Like, I can see what they're going for in a tutorial video, but when I'm actually doing it, I'm just, cocking my head and raising an eyebrow. Only I can't do the thing where I raise only one eyebrow, so I can't even do that right. Oh yeah, let's get his trousers. Leave the shaded parts that are supposed to be shaded, because they're folds in the fabric, or they're low. Don't go back over them like a doof. And if it's hard to reach because it's literally covered by the literal shadow of a literal shield, then don't try to get it. All right, now this Deuterino, I think, what did I decide to do with him? The light purple and the yellow. Yeah, okay. All right, so I'm not even gonna do this burgundy color on him. I'm actually gonna go ahead and make a few changes, and I'm probably gonna want to consider shading those again. So for this Paladin, well, the only thing I really don't like about the colors I've chosen, I'll bump the lamp with the lance here, is the trousers and the surcoat being that maroon and that teal color. I feel like it's just too many wacky colors, just clashing a little too hard. And my girlfriend agrees. So I'm going to do this color. I'm going to bring back some more of the Violet Coven, which is one of the main colors I've been using for all of these. I'm going to use this for the I guess blanket over his legs. And I may actually, yeah, pretty much just for that. And then I'll use the crystal blue, which is the other of the, main theme colors that I'm using for his actual trousers. Because I did the trousers and the blanket over them the same, which doesn't really matter because you can't see the trousers very well anyway. But, shut up. Yes, it does. Am I actually getting my face in the shot when I come down here? No, I don't think so. Let's see. I'm trying to leave some of the darkest shaded areas, even though they're shaded red. I probably shouldn't be. I probably should just cover all of it, huh? Yeah, fuck it. I'll just cover it all. Yeah, all right. I can always just gently recess shade it later. I don't have to just Martha Stewart, the wash all over everything. Am I quoting the right person or referencing the right person? Isn't she known for like this over here, that over here, everywhere, these things, more of these things? And decorating. Castlevania theme. All right. Leaving some of it behind because it's too hard to reach. But you know what? Just for funsies, just for literal funsy onesies, I think I'm gonna leave the deep red on the back of this blanket wherever it was there before, just for actual funsies. And as a reference to what I originally had. So it seems deliberate and, not what it really is. Lazy. So I have good news about me personally. I am a genius. I've learned and grown intellectually as a person. Whenever I record these, I have a mount, which I bump all the time, like that. That was intentional. A rubbery mount that I affix my phone to and use to just, throw together these very simple recordings, just for my friends. Normally, I have the mount clipped to my desk in front of me So it is impossible for me not to constantly bump into it and send you over stormy seas, as you observe. Well, using the intellectual brilliance that I have discovered that I possess, I have clipped the mount to the side of the desk. So now I can be like, whoa, and still not bump into it. Yeah. Yeah, let's get this part too. Me saying all that about being a genius made me think of the Kanye West South Park episode. Being a genius, I have ascertained that fish have gills. This doctor is going to confirm whether or not I possess gills. He does not have gills. And I'm a genius voice of a generation, so I'm not gay. I'm not a gay fish. I'm going to put an end to all these rumors about me being a gay fish. Man, I was fully intending to record myself doing layering and edge highlights, and here I am just blocking in a different color. But that is fine. And I'm happy because these two paladins, like, they're at a point where they look basically done. Like, I could just put these on the table and they would they would fly. I'd be like, yeah, they're done. They may not be on Pegasi, but you know that on the table they fly. I don't know. I'm trying to. Apparently, I'm trying to sound like the crow from Dumbo. And there's something really satisfying about painting a model that you can call done. And it's just like doing more stuff. Okay, is that the only part that I wanted in that color? And am I just gonna leave it like that, move on? Yes, I am. Okay. So while I let, I don't know, something dry, let's come back to this other paladin guy. I think the only layering that I still want to do is going to be, after having thrown the brush, on these ribbons. Because I'm going to dry brush his hair. I'm going to dry brush the horse's hair. Edge highlight everything else I can reasonably get to. Put something on the shield, and I know it's going to go on the banner. And then, I could just leave his shield plain, actually. I might do that. All right. Let me ignore the black and then anti-ignore everything else. Let me see if I can bring back that teal color. Just by going into the paint that is still on my wet palette and using a little water to bring it back to life. None of which you can see. Not for your eyes. There we go. It's weird having bits of a model that have just one little but vivid color to them, and that color is not used anywhere else in the entire dadgum model. All right, let me get some of this yellow. Let me try to bring that back, even though I fully intend to use a lot more of it in the very near future. Oh boy, yellow's kicking my ass. It's calling me a wise guy. What I mean, just to narrate a little, is there's yellow on my wet palette, but it's been there longer than the teal has been, so I'm trying to use water to revive it. But it's just not happening. Now it's barely even going on there. I'm gonna have to get more paint. That's the only way to do it. I'm gonna have to open one of these bottles and squeeze out a tiny bit more paint, which will then partially deplete my reserves. This will drive me crazy. Actually, I'm gonna wait on the yellow. I'm not even gonna do it right now. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna do the Demonette hide instead. Out of this Citadel pot. All right, let's grab a little bit of that. Now this is layering. Oh goodness, that one coffee stained hard, didn't it? I'm not even thinning the paint down. I'm a madman. I'm insane. I'm crazy. I'm a crazy, mad, insane fool. And then I'll hit the edge, but I think I'll leave the underside darkened. And if there's an unusual shadow, I'll just consider that to be, another fold in it. Bomb diggity, diggity do. Let's see, the black I don't need to revisit, because when you put a dark shade over black and the black is already darker than the shade, then fun fact, the black just continues to be black. But we'll do the red, pure red, which is also what I'm using on the silly little heart and the silly little cage. Because his heart's locked up. I don't know what it means. There's probably a cultural, historical significance to it that I'm not aware of. But it's a heart, and hearts are cute. I refer to this heart down here, which I'm going to brighten up just a small amount. Leave the lower parts and the recesses dark. There, I layered it. No one will ever notice, but I did. And there's, oh yeah, a lot more life coming back onto the upper surface of that ribbon. Let's get the sides. Let's leave the bottom because that part's going to be all shadowy anyway. Except for this part. There we go. Right. Now we're going to do that ultramarine blue. So that color, this color here, which we're about to do, actually spilled out onto my palette in a most frustrating fashion. So what I'm hoping, against all hope, is that since there's so frackin' much on here, that I can revive it without having to risk dumping even more on there. Let me use this paper clip. This is a paper clip. Just going to use it to tear into the paint reserve. And I'm just going to pretend that that doesn't inevitably cause me to tear through the paper that forms the upper surface of this palette. Just going to do a lot of pretending today. We're just going to tell ourselves what we want to hear and revel in the fact that there's no one to tell me I'm wrong. Ah, solitude. Okay, and we have succeeded. We got some of that ultramarine blue, which is, to me, kind of a royal blue. Like, it's very dark. Is that really what ultramarine is supposed to look like? Is it supposed to be that freaking dark? Because I feel like the ultramarines in Warhammer 40,000 are by default, like, their color doesn't even look that dark. Ultramarine is a color, and it's also a play on words because they're called the Ultramarines. All right, let's get the darkest of my purple colors, the Nagaroth Knight. I think I was partially drawn to Nagaroth Knight just because it's one of the Citadel colors that has a name that references fantasy. And a lot of their colors are actually fantasy references because they've been around since like longer than 40K's been huge. All right, that should be enough. Don't need a large amount of paint. That's the wrong thing. Oh yeah, I'm looking for this. Okay. Just a little triangular icon. That's the only thing that color goes on. So I needed even less paint than I thought. Quick. Don't want to waste any paint. I'm going to go paint an orc with this real quick. Now let's get this stuff. Burning ore, which is orange. No semantic relation, presumably. Although maybe. Orange. I think in medieval Europe, orange was a place, and that eventually led to it being thought of as a color, I think, and then the fruit. I don't know. I just know what we think of as a distinct color, orange, historically was just, oh yeah, different shade of red. A little red, little yellow. Which is why we call orange hair red, even though it's not really red per se. But what do I know? I'm just a guy with a brush and a bunch of stuff and doing stuff with it. I'm just a genius who figured out where to mount his phone. That's all. Put on my pants one leg at a time, just in a more genius way. That's all. Other than that, I'm just like everyone else. I think I've tried putting on my pants both legs at a time before. Like, okay, if you lie on your back and you lean up, you can kind of, you're picturing it, right? You can kind of put your pants on both legs at the same time. It's obviously not worth the effort. One at a time is, I mean, why fix what isn't broken? Okay, the white is easily the most affected by the wash, so let's make sure that we cover pretty much all of the dingy brown that's supposed to represent shadows. But have you ever seen a brown shadow? Yeah, I probably should have used a black wash on this. I didn't think about that, but like part of the purpose of a brown wash is that you might use it on organic materials or things that are expected to have a little bit more color to them. And white is, well, it's a lot of colors, and it's also no colors at all, right? I feel like if I want to put a shadow on white, that shadow should look more gray, not brown. I guess it's more correct to say, like when it comes to paint, when you mix paint together, usually you just get brown. When you mix the colors of light together is when you get white. Okay. So on this particular model, I've got some dry brushing to do. I've got some freehand to do. And I've got some edge highlighting to do. So let's fucking do all of it. Let's actually do some dry brushing. Let's hope that I get it right. I guess if I keep being a genius, it should be easy enough. Let's grab my beat up brush that has de facto become my dry brush. And let's just decide. So his hair, I think I actually legitimately painted his hair matte black. So maybe a dark gray is what I want for that. And then for the horse hair, that's a khaki color. Do I have something lighter than khaki? I think I have some warm, I have some warm grays and whites. What about this worn stone? I'll use worn stone for that. And then the darkest gray I've got is uniform gray. Doing it. So the uniform gray is going to go on his hair, but as a dry brush, so it should only hit the edges if I do it right. And then the worn stone color that I also picked up is going to go on the hair of the horse, also as a dry brush. All right, let's get some on this brush. Let's work it into the bristles using this kitchen paper, or as anyone on my hemisphere would call it, paper towel. All right. And time to work really hard on something that won't even be noticeable. The gray in his hair is just going to make him look older, but I'm okay with that. Maybe he's an older guy. All right, let's see here. Well, it definitely makes his hair stand out more and creates more interest. So there you go. Not only am I an intellectual genius when it comes to positioning a phone mount, I'm also an artist because I used artist words. Let's put the uniform gray back. Grab this worn stone, which I might use on horsehair. I think I used this exact color on the hair of this main paladin horse. So I might just do. I'll just, I'll just do a white dry brush on that one. That's what I'll do, because I've already got the white anyway. This is an especially warm gray, very light. It's not especially warm; it's just especially light. I don't know. I put it in the microwave to warm it up. I don't know. That's the stupidest thing I've ever said. And all right. Oh, bumped them out. My genius has been called into question. You know, I don't think I took enough paint off of this brush. Whatever, doing it. And oh yeah. Oh yeah. And let's make sure we get the underside where the light will catch when it redirects due to relativity and then the refraction of light. All right, learn your physics. Listen, the Earth itself reflects some light. Okay, that's science. I'm not making that up. Go ask Neil deGrasse Tyson; he'll tell you. I'm not wrong. All right. All right, with that minimal effort. Yeah, see, the dry brushing actually isn't doing what I intended it to do. I think it's because I'm not removing enough from the brush. But when I remove a tiny bit more from the brush, there's like literally nothing in my experience. So let me take an even bigger risk and try. Let's see. Part of the problem is this paper towel is like covered with colors from use, and I don't want to go on to another paper towel because to me, that feels like wasting. This will not be explained. Yeah, see, it's actually going into the recesses, which is exactly where it's not supposed to go. Huh. But that's all right. It's still colors, so it's still contrast, something art. And now I think, I know that the paladin, I want to, oh my goodness, how do I put a brush in a hole? I want to do some yellow on in a few places, and then definitely going to paint some sort of design on his shield, probably the army's, symbol, the lance and sword that I've been doing. But, oh, and I definitely would like to put some color on the, I guess, little statuette in his crest there. And some edge highlighting. And then as for the standard bearer, I would like to do edge highlighting in the free hand. Oh my goodness. Ah! Throwing stuff and bumping everything. It's a disaster. I'm gonna grab some crystal blue if I can, and just fix this part right here that I clearly never did catch when I was going back over the shaded stuff for layering purposes. And I'm gonna fix this too. Bob the Builder. I'm just gonna fix it all. All right, there we go. So we're gonna do some edge highlighting on this guy. There's some like bits of leather to bring back. I might try to do that. I still need to do the eyes on his face. And then fix some colors on this guy. Let me do this. I'm not gonna finish these guys completely in this one video, though I will share a picture, perhaps over Discord with my buddies of the finished product. But I would like to get the bootstrap brown color and fix some of the leather on both of these. And then maybe highlight the edges of the horse collar, probably in the khaki color. Should look fine. Do I use too many colors? Yes. Yes, I do. Does it make this take way longer than it has to? Yes. Yeah, as a matter of fact, yes, it does. Am I going to answer no to the next pointless question I ask myself? Yes. Yes, I am. Is that a paradox? No, it's not. Let's do a little bootstrap brown over here so that his dagger isn't just floating. It's magic! All right, and let's also get the strap up here that I had missed. All right, okay. And then this one I know had some strappage that I gotta get. Okay, there it is on the sword. Oh, good, off camera, good. I don't want anyone watching this to know what I'm doing. It's all very hush hush. And right here. I can't tell if there's more strapment in there. Totally a word. Can't tell. So I'm just going to get some of the color in and around and on there so it looks good from a distance, because that's all that matters. It's just that. All right. There we go. Now we're going to grab Command Khaki, which is the same color I used for this Paladin's horse. But this time, we're using it to edge highlight. Basically everything leather, beginning with the horse collar. The edges are going to be really bright, and it's going to make it look hot. So hot. All right, I think when you're edge highlighting, you're supposed to thin the paint down more than you usually would. Or maybe it's less. Or maybe it's the same. But we're doing more. We're going to use so much water that we're basically just going to give this guy a bath. Oof. I think that's still too much paint on the brush there. Okay. I'm scared. Yeah, it's not even on camera. All right, there we go. Oh, that is too much. That's too much, but you can tell I'm trying to edge highlight. Use the edge of the brush. Well, I'm trying to use the edge of the brush, but how do I get it in there? Okay, well, I like the way it looks, so that means I'm doing it right. Nobody's opinion matters more than mine. And yes, once again, just now I was checking my phone to see if what I was doing was in the frame. Oh, it's way too close, so the camera's like refreshing and all that, but oh well. It's not my fault you clicked on a video with bad quality. And oh, that's an edge highlight. Yeah, it's just sometimes hard to find the angle I need. I feel like as long as I'm getting most of it, it's going to do its job. I always have to remind, okay, that is not an edge highlight. That's just actual garbage. I always have to remind myself that this is for a model on a table several feet away from both viewers, farther away from my opponent than from me, at least at the start. That's going to get hit in the face with a cannonball and killed anyway. My past games are any indication. I watched a couple of videos on, playing the game like not an idiot. And I don't know. I feel like I've got a much better basis to understand how to make better decisions. Like, they talked about a concept that I've heard before, beat down versus control. I've heard it as aggro versus control, but I think beat down is the more official term. A theory in tactical or strategic gaming that came from Magic the Gathering, where basically in any matchup, one player is the beatdown, who is trying to gain and leverage an advantage and just destroy the opponent before the opponent can set up. And the other is the control, who's trying to obsessively develop their abilities or develop their pieces, like in chess, so that they can just win in the late game. And it's important to identify who's who. And it's not always the same, necessarily, that you'd expect. And see, I've been thinking of it like, okay, ranged units, which is most of what I've been losing to. Like, what I've been winning against has been armies that are melee heavy, because the melee potential of my army is really great, but the armies that are ranged heavy tend to kick my butt. And I think of it like, okay, I have to be super aggressive because they have all this range and they're going to shoot me down. So I need to get in there before they can get too many shots off, right? Meaning I'm the beatdown, they're the control. But that's not necessarily how I should be thinking of it. Because the thing about ranged attacks is, yes, they can be really defensive because they can force the enemy to come to you, allowing them to take that defensive position that they probably wanted to take. But they can also be very aggressive because they can do damage without having to stage and move in first. So maybe, man, these edge highlights are not working out. Maybe I should be using a darker color too. Okay, all right, so I've used too much of the paint. It's really thin. Part of the problem is that it's too thin, so I'm pressing harder to make the paint appear, and then by the time I do that, I've basically fully covered a surface with it when I'm supposed to be hitting just the edges. See, look at that, right? That right there. That right there. I just put like this khaki all over the underside of that strap. I think from a distance, maybe it'll look okay. I don't know. I'm just going to keep going faithfully with it. And if it's wrong, then that's good because it means I can show this to a teacher and be like, I don't know how to do this. And they can be like, okay, I know what you need to start doing. You need to just put the minis down and play video games. No, I'm just kidding. It takes a lot of patience. And the problem is I'm kind of hurrying because I want to hurry up and be done because I still have more models to paint. And I need to just take my time and have fun. I'm supposed to use the edge of the brush, but sometimes finding that angle is easier said than done. But yeah, sometimes my ranged opponent is the beatdown. They're just hitting me hard. And what I need to do is deny them their preferred targets and force them out of position so that I can look to score. Or even sacrifice one of my most valuable units just so I can get a superior number of less valuable units into position and win that way. It's like I'm trying to be too offensive and too defensive at the same time. I need to recognize my win condition. Set it up to succeed, stuff like that. I think that my biggest setback in any kind of strategy game is that I try to figure out what I'm supposed to do. And go, okay, I want to do this correctly. What's correct? And that itself, in and of itself, isn't wrong, but it can limit my creativity because I might not see certain options because, well, I don't think that's what I'm supposed to do. Well, no, what you're supposed to do is be adaptable, think outside the box. Okay, real talk. Did I improve the horse collar? Did I improve the edges? Or does it just look... Well, it definitely stands out more from a distance, so I guess so. But even if I didn't, I tried, and trying is what's going to help me learn. So that means we're going about this the right way. Yeah, I guess what I should do, since these are close to the same model, is look at them side by side. Look at the horse collar, the brown stuff going around, the straps going around the horse. Do they look better on this one or on this one? That's the question. If they look better on this one, then I'd be better skipping the highlighting. But if it looks better on this one, then, all right, that means it's working. That means it's doing what it's supposed to do. But I'm going to keep doing this on my own and share a picture of the finished products at some point at a later date. Peace.